Think pirates just sailed around finding treasure and fighting battles? The truth about how these infamous sea bandits spent their free time might surprise you. Beyond the legends and stories, pirates had to fill countless boring hours at sea between adventures. Life aboard a crowded wooden ship meant finding ways to stay busy, and their off-duty activities weren't what you'd expect. From essential daily tasks to bizarre hobbies, the real pirate life was far more complex than most treasure maps would have you believe. For starters, they had to keep their ships from falling apart. A pirate ship was essentially a floating wooden village that constantly tried to fall apart. The salty sea air rotted wood, corroded metal, and weakened ropes. Storms tore sails, waves cracked planks, and barnacles attached themselves to the hull, slowing the ship down. If pirates ignored these problems, they'd soon find themselves sinking into the depths. Every morning on a pirate ship started with a round of maintenance tasks. Decks needed scrubbing to prevent rot. Bilges required pumping to remove seawater that seeped through the hull. Sails demanded patching, and rigging needed constant adjustment. These weren't optional activities, they were matters of survival. A clean ship is a happy ship wasn't just a saying, it was a necessity. Pirates may have looked disheveled in our modern imagination, but their ships were often surprisingly well maintained. When your entire life depends on a vessel staying afloat, you tend to take good care of it. Weapons maintenance was another crucial task that filled a pirate's downtime. Cannons needed cleaning after each use to prevent corrosion from saltpeter and gunpowder residue. Muskets and pistols required regular oiling to prevent rust. Even cutlasses needed sharpening and polishing to keep them battle-ready. One pirate's log mentioned that a rusty blade is as useful as a wooden one when facing the king's navy. Many pirate ships operated under a strict schedule of maintenance duties. The quartermaster would assign daily tasks to each crew member. Slacking off wasn't tolerated, even among these supposed rebels of the sea. One interesting fact: many pirate codes included specific clauses about ship maintenance. Some rules stated that crew members found neglecting their duties would forfeit their share of plunder for up to 3 raids. Pirates developed specialized skills during these maintenance periods. Some became expert sailmakers, while others excelled at carpentry or caulking. These weren't just chores. They were essential trades that could make the difference between life and death at sea. During long voyages with no ships to raid, pirates would hold contests to see who could complete repairs the fastest or most effectively. The stakes? Extra rations of food or better sleeping spots. One account mentions a pirate who won so many rope splicing contests that his mates started calling him the Spider, though they probably used less friendly terms when he wasn't listening. The most amusing part of all this mundane work? Historical accounts mention pirates complaining about their chores just as much as anyone today might grumble about taking out the trash. Barnacle scraping is the work of the devil himself, wrote one particularly dramatic pirate in his journal. Another moaned that patching sails in high winds is like trying to dress a wildcat. Of course, after all these tedious but necessary tasks were complete, pirates needed ways to blow off steam and have some fun. The typical pirate ship transformed into a floating casino once the sun went down. Dice games ruled supreme on the high seas. Unlike modern casinos with their fancy equipment, pirates made do with carved bone or wooden dice, often crudely fashioned, but treasured nonetheless. A set of lucky dice might be a pirate's most prized possession. After his weapons, of course. Card games spread across the decks, too. Dog-eared and salt-stained playing cards passed from hand to hand as fortunes changed with each deal. Games like All Fours and Lanterloo dominated the wooden tables. Games that would eventually evolve into modern poker and blackjack. These weren't gentlemanly affairs. Accusations of cheating flew as freely as the rum. Speaking of rum, drinking and gambling intertwined like twin masts on a ship. One account from a captured merchant described a pirate crew gambling for 3 days straight, stopping only to refill their cups or handle emergencies. By the 3rd day, half the crew couldn't remember what they'd bet or why they were even playing. The stakes in these games reached ridiculous heights. Pirates didn't just gamble their coins, they bet their weapons, clothing, future shares of plunder, and even their daily rations. One historical record mentions a desperate pirate who bet his wooden leg, lost, and had to hop around for weeks until he could acquire a replacement. But cards and dice were just the beginning. Pirates bet on anything that moved or didn't. Shipwrats became unwilling racing champions as pirates set up elaborate racecourses across the decks. Betting on which side of the ship would catch the first fish of the day could trigger fierce competition. Even the weather became fair game, with wagers placed on when the next storm would hit or clear. The most outlandish bets often involved feats of strength or endurance. How many minutes could someone hang from the rigging using only one arm? Who could stay underwater the longest? Could someone drink a gallon of seawater without getting sick? The answer to that last one, by the way, was always no, but that didn't stop pirates from trying and others from betting on the messy outcome. Cheating was rampant and expected. Loaded dice, marked cards, and outright trickery were all part of the game. The punishment for being caught, however, wasn't a simple ejection from the table. Depending on the crew and captain, cheaters might face lashings, loss of their share in the next plunder, or in extreme cases, abandonment on a deserted island. Pirates took their gambling seriously, perhaps too seriously. An intriguing historical fact. Some pirate articles, the rules governing behavior on pirate ships, actually included guidelines for gambling disputes. One ship's article stated that gambling debts were to be paid within 24 hours, or the debtor would face 40 lashes. Another demanded that all gambling cease during battle preparations, with severe penalties for those caught disobeying. As dawn broke after a night of heavy betting, winners strutted around with newfound wealth, while losers nursed both empty pockets and throbbing heads. But even in defeat, there was always hope. The next raid might bring new treasures, and with them, another chance to win big or lose it all. Yet for all their love of chance and fortune, pirates sought other ways to pass the long hours at sea. When the dice grew tiresome and the cards too worn to play, many turned to an unexpected pastime that contradicted their unrefined image. Many pirates harbored a secret appreciation for literature. When dice games ended and gambling debts were settled, books often made an appearance on deck. This might seem shocking given our modern image of pirates, but long voyages across empty oceans created plenty of time to fill. Books were valuable commodities on pirate ships. Unlike gold that could be spent once, a good book provided entertainment for months. Pirates collected these treasures from captured merchant vessels and wealthy passengers. The term borrowed might be generous considering the owners rarely got them back, but pirates developed impressive floating libraries nonetheless. Naval logs and shipping records from the golden age of piracy reveal that books were frequently listed among stolen items. One captured Spanish galleon reported the loss of 22 books valued higher than some of the jewelry taken. Ships sailing between Europe and the colonies often carried literature for wealthy colonists, perfect targets for book-hungry buccaneers. What did pirates read? Navigation charts and maps topped the list for practical reasons. A skilled reader of nautical charts could mean the difference between capturing a prize ship or running aground on hidden reefs. Sea captains' journals from rival vessels provided valuable intelligence about trade routes and vulnerable targets. But pirates didn't limit themselves to practical reading. Adventure tales proved immensely popular, particularly stories featuring daring heroes and exotic locations. Many pirates enjoyed reading about fictional adventures while living through real ones. History books about ancient warriors and conquests found eager audiences too. Most surprising to modern readers might be the popularity of poetry and romance novels. These rough sailors, far from home and loved ones, often turn to romantic stories during lonely nights at sea. A tattered copy of poetry might pass through dozens of weathered hands, with favorite passages marked or memorized. Religious texts appeared on nearly every ship. Even the most notorious pirate crews included religious members, and Sunday readings from the Bible became tradition on many vessels. This practice sometimes led to amusing contradictions. Bible readings in the morning followed by stealing and fighting in the afternoon. Beyond reading, storytelling ranked as a premier entertainment form. Gathered around lanterns on calm evenings, pirates shared tales of their adventures, often embellishing with each retelling. A raid that netted modest profits might transform into an epic battle with each retelling, casualties doubling and treasure tripling until the story barely resembled reality. These storytelling sessions served multiple purposes. They boosted morale, passed time, established reputations, and preserved the crew's history. The best storytellers earned respect regardless of their position in the ship's hierarchy. a lowly deckhand with a gift for spinning yarns, might find himself enjoying extra rations or better sleeping quarters as payment for his tales. Many pirate legends that persist today originated from these exaggerated stories. Tales spread between ships when crews met in friendly ports, growing more outlandish with each transfer. By the time these stories reached land and the ears of colonial officials or newspaper writers, the pirates had essentially created their own mythology. One fascinating historical note: several pirates actually documented their voyages in journals, some of which survived to modern times. These rare first-hand accounts provide valuable historical insights, though they're often sprinkled with self-serving fabrications. A pirate might downplay his brutality while emphasizing his cleverness, creating a more flattering portrait for posterity. After nights of reading and storytelling, pirates often felt a different urge stirring: the desire for more active entertainment. Port visits meant one thing above all else: parties that would make modern nightclubs look tame by comparison. After weeks or months at sea with limited supplies, pirates hit taverns with the force of a cannon blast. Gold and silver flowed freely from recently acquired treasures. In pirate-friendly ports like Port Royal in Jamaica or Nassau in the Bahamas, entire streets filled with celebrating crew members throwing money around like it carried a curse. Rum stood as the undisputed king of pirate beverages. Made from sugarcane byproducts, rum was cheap, strong, and abundant throughout the Caribbean. Pirates consumed it in quantities that defied human tolerance. Ship records from the era mention rum rations as high as half a gallon per day for each crew member. How did they manage to sail straight? The answer: they often didn't, which explains quite a few shipwrecks. Taverns and pirate havens developed specialized drinks to extract maximum gold from their rowdy customers. One infamous concoction called bumbo mixed rum with sugar, water, and nutmeg. Another deadly mixture called kill devil combined the strongest available rum with various spices and fruits to mask its brutal strength. Many pirates woke up the next day wondering if the drink got its name from how it made them feel or from what nearly happened to them while drinking it. These drinking sessions rarely stayed peaceful for long. Historical records show that port authorities in known pirate haunts reported higher incidents of brawls, property damage, and public disturbances whenever pirate ships docked. One report from a Port Royal official counted 23 major tavern fights in a single night when 3 pirate crews happened to be in port simultaneously. The reasons for these fights ranged from serious to ridiculous. Disputed gambling debts often sparked violence. Insults about sailing skills could lead to drawn swords. Sometimes pirates fought simply because they hadn't fought anyone in weeks and were itching for action. One documented bar fight started because a pirate insisted the world was flat, while another drunkenly argued it was round. Both were thrown through the tavern window, giving them a first-hand lesson in gravity instead. Pirates didn't limit their partying to taverns. They took over entire buildings when they had enough money, throwing lavish celebrations that could last for days. Contemporary accounts describe pirates wearing stolen silk clothes, drinking from silver goblets, and even hiring musicians to provide entertainment. The goal seemed to be spending money as quickly and extravagantly as possible. This reckless spending had a practical side. Pirate crews knew that carrying too much wealth made them bigger targets. Many preferred to enjoy their riches immediately rather than hoarding them. This live-for-today philosophy made sense in a profession where tomorrow was never guaranteed. The most astonishing fact about these pirate parties? The speed at which fortunes disappeared. Historical facts show that some pirate crews spent their entire haul from a successful raid in less than 3 days of celebration. One crew captured a Spanish merchant ship with gold worth roughly $6 million in today's money, then spent it all during a 2-week party in Nassau. These epic celebrations often led to what can only be called questionable decisions. Pirates signed up for new expeditions while drunk, swore blood oaths with strangers, got ill-advised tattoos, and sometimes even married local residents after knowing them for mere hours. The morning after a pirate party often brought both hangovers and surprising new life commitments that were difficult to escape, much like the hangover itself. When their pockets finally emptied, pirates faced the harsh reality of needing more gold. With nothing left to spend, many pirates developed surprisingly creative talents. Many pirates developed impressive skills in wood carving. During quiet watches or calm seas, they would sit on deck for hours, carving intricate designs into wood, bones, or even their weapons. A well-decorated pistol was just as important as a sharp one. After all, if you're going to rob someone, you might as well look fancy doing it. These carvings often featured maritime themes like mermaids, sea monsters, or their own ships. Some pieces became so elaborate that they resembled professional artwork. Even the roughest pirates would spend weeks perfecting small details on a carving, showing patience that contrasted sharply with their otherwise impulsive nature. Items carved by particularly skilled pirates became prized possessions, sometimes worth more than actual looted treasures to the right collector. The art of knot tying elevated to an obsession among certain crew members. Pirates created complex decorative knots that served both practical and artistic purposes. Nothing says day off like seeing how many ways you can tie a rope. These sailors competed to create the most impressive monkey's fists, Turks' heads, and other decorative knots. The best knot makers earned respect from their crewmates and sometimes extra rations for their skills. On long voyages, entire evenings would be devoted to knot tying contests, with judges appointed to determine whose work showed the greatest complexity and skill. Some knots became signatures of specific pirate ships, with designs so distinctive that naval authorities could identify which crew had looted a merchant vessel simply by the knot used to tie up the survivors. Rope work extended beyond knots into full-fledged macrame and splicing techniques. Pirates crafted hammocks, belts, and even decorative wall hangings using these methods. The most skilled rope workers could repair complex rigging in stormy conditions, making them invaluable crew members despite their seemingly frivolous hobby. Their ability to splice rope ends together so perfectly that the join could pass through a pulley without catching often saved ships during critical moments. Many pirate captains specifically recruited sailors with exceptional rope-working abilities, valuing this skill almost as much as fighting prowess. Unexpected fact: some pirates trained parrots to curse at people just for fun. If a bird insulted you in a tavern, chances were it belonged to a pirate. These colorful birds became popular companions on pirate ships where they were taught to mimic phrases, often vulgar or insulting ones. Historical records mention tavern fights breaking out after a well-trained parrot delivered particularly creative insults to unsuspecting patrons. The birds became so associated with piracy that in some ports, simply owning a parrot made authorities suspicious. Training sessions became a form of entertainment, with crew members gathering around to teach the birds increasingly outrageous phrases in multiple languages, creating multilingual avian insulters that could offend people from any nation. Music played a significant role in pirate leisure time. A few even practiced regularly. Drums, fiddles, and concertinas were popular instruments aboard ship. A pirate ship with a good musician was basically the 18th century version of having a great party playlist. These musicians weren't just entertainment, they served practical purposes during battle, using drums to communicate commands across noisy decks and maintain rowing rhythms when wind failed. Songs spread between pirate crews, creating a unique maritime musical tradition. These sea shanties helped synchronize difficult tasks requiring multiple people pulling or pushing in unison. Some tunes became so associated with pirate attacks that merchant ships would surrender immediately upon hearing certain melodies drifting across the water. Some pirates developed unusual collections. Buttons, coins from different countries, unique shells, and interesting rocks filled sea chests alongside stolen valuables. These collections provided conversation pieces and sometimes served as crude currency among crew members when gambling. Every item typically came with a story, true or embellished, about where and how it was acquired. The most dedicated collectors became walking museums of curiosities from around the known world. Weather prediction became another strange hobby. Certain pirates claimed they could read the clouds, wind patterns, and sea conditions to forecast storms with uncanny accuracy. While some of this was legitimate seafaring knowledge, much of it veered into superstition. Still, a pirate with a reputation for accurate weather prediction often earned special status among the crew. These amateur meteorologists developed elaborate rituals and observation techniques, some passed down through generations of sailors. As the ship swayed from day to night and back again, these diverse hobbies kept pirates sane during the monotonous aspects of sea life. When time allowed and the right opportunity presented itself, These seafaring craftsmen would set aside their creative pursuits for other forms of relaxation. Even the most hardened sea criminals needed downtime. Believe it or not, pirates actually enjoyed lazy beach days. No battles, no looting, just sun, sand, and maybe a coconut or two. The only treasure they hunted was a good spot under a palm tree. After weeks confined to cramped ship quarters, the open space of a beach offered welcome relief. Pirates frequently visited uninhabited islands throughout the Caribbean and along the African coast. These locations provided safe harbors where crews could relax without fear of naval patrols or rival pirates. Some islands became unofficial pirate vacation spots, offering fresh water, fruit, and a break from the endless rocking of the sea. Ship logs and journals mention these beach breaks as practical necessities. Crews needed to repair their vessels, gather fresh water, and hunt for food. But these stops quickly turned into something resembling vacation time. Pirates swam, fished, and even played games on the shore. These fearsome outlaws sometimes acted like children at summer camp, organizing swimming races and beach wrestling matches that were considerably more violent than their modern counterparts. Strange, but true. Some pirate crews had musicians who played on the beach for entertainment. Imagine a pirate band, but instead of selling tickets, they probably just stole them. These impromptu concerts featured instruments like fiddles, pipes, and drums that crews kept aboard for entertainment during long voyages. The music helped boost morale and provided a sense of normalcy amid their dangerous lives. Beach visits offered rare culinary luxuries. Fresh food, coconuts, roasted fish, and whatever they could scavenge replaced the monotonous shipboard diet. The bar for gourmet cuisine was pretty low when your regular meals moved on their own. Anything was better than rock-hard ship biscuits filled with weevils. Pirates often organized hunting parties to catch wild pigs or birds on these islands, creating feasts that the entire crew shared. For many, the greatest luxury was simply doing nothing. Some just laid in the sun, did nothing, and enjoyed not being stabbed for a few hours. A simple pleasure, but a rare one in a pirate's life. These moments of peace were treasured in a profession where death lurked around every corner. Beach days also served practical purposes beyond relaxation. Pirates used these stops to resolve conflicts within the crew, hold meetings to plan future raids, or divide recently acquired treasure. Nothing says strategic planning like drawing ship routes in the sand that get washed away by the tide. Pirates weren't just ruthless raiders, they were craftsmen, gamblers, storytellers, and beach lovers. Their off-duty activities revealed a surprisingly human side to these legendary sea outlaws.